Hi there. It's me again. I'm doing a bit of a intercept video, so I haven't posted my next content based on some of the questions I've been asked, but I wanted to talk about this article right here. I'm hoping that when I do the post editing, this will actually show up properly. I'm still new to this game. And how this relates to the last video I posted. So understandably, there's a huge level of concern that's happened in the community with an article like this, where the concern is that OpenAI is training its model with very specific personal interests involved, or, you know, preventing us from accessing information about individuals, protecting individuals. And this goes back to what I said about how you're rarely ever going to be testing a large language model. And that actually even includes when you're using ChatGPT. Because a lot of people conflate ChatGPT, which is the chat agent, and GPT 4.0 or different versions, which is the large language model. Not the same thing. And more importantly, there are layers of complexity and a lot of engineering, not data science, engineering, that take place between the two. So I wanted to help you understand. So when people are asking about this name, I'm not going to bother saying it because it's irrelevant which name it is. The first thing that happens is there's some pre-processing and tokenization. Like, you have to convert the text into something that is consumable. But that, before that even happens, there is filtering that takes place. I referred to something called sanitization before, but there's an effort made to capture certain framings and certain sentences and modify them in such a way that it's more likely that you're going to get the right results. In addition, they will filter out things that they use very complicated approaches to decide how they identify something as a protected attribute, or something that is considered harmful or hateful, etc. So there's quite a bit that goes on there. I also then spoke about the fact that there are guardrails. Think of it as a hard block. Remember, a guardrail is a hard block. It's not elegant. It's, if you see this, don't let this go through. If this happens, don't let it go through. And that's still happening in the pre-processing. So all of that takes place still at the chat layer. And then it goes in and gets consumed by the large language model, which is trained to provide certain information. But then even on the way back out, you have another set of guardrails that typically is making sure that the LLM does not send other information back out. And on top of this, there's also engineering just around the chat client, where you're trying to create the best possible flowing experience and how to piece together multiple inputs. So at all these different layers, there's a lot of ways things might get lost. There's a lot of ways that things may not happen the way you hope they would. And I've personally come across many situations where a completely appropriate question got blocked because of how these different layers interact with one another and turn into something that prevents you from getting the answer that we as designers and implementers wanted to see happen. And then we'd have to go in and fix that. So with this in mind, I'm going back to the idea of, is there a place for testing in the world of large language models and chatbots? And the answer is, yeah, there's a lot of places where things might break down. And no, you shouldn't jump to conclusions that there's always some evil mastermind in the background stroking a white cat about how they're going to destroy the earth. Almost everybody who's involved in this thinks of themselves as the good guy in the story. Very few people are actually entering into this business saying, I cannot wait until society collapses thanks to my efforts. Especially on the data scientist side. Like, I don't know if you've met any data scientists, but they are just in love with their work, and they want to see their work transform society. Say what you will about the people investing in it, but in the end, the people who are building it are trying to do their best. And most likely, when you see something like these headlines. Remember, media gets paid by clicks, and negative headlines sell much, much better than positive headlines. And it's always going to be really easy to be able to say, see, they're trying to hurt us. They're trying to take over the earth. Arnold Schwarzenegger is around. He's the Terminator. But the reality is, this is where we need testers to get more involved early in helping design these systems, so that it's not just about did the right result come out, but can we identify where things went wrong? At what step did things go wrong? Why did they go wrong? How can we build it in a more resilient way? Can we come up with more examples for us to use to be able to evaluate how individual steps work, as well as the overall process working together? This is where we come in. This is the work. This is the space where they need people focusing and have that exploratory testing expertise. This is why this ecosystem has a huge soft spot for exploratory testers and people who are fascinated with understanding how the system is working and how things might go wrong. This is why people like Bill Matthews have been around forever telling us we need to get into this space, because they need us. They really do need us. But they don't need us in the way that they think they need us. They don't need us to validate the outcomes. They need us to help ask questions and learn more about examples, and ask and get involved with the product people, and get involved with the legal teams, and sit between them to ensure that when they're saying things are okay, it's the most informed discussion they can possibly have. Get in the game, everyone. Get in the game.